the wisdom of our wonderful ancestors. Like we always say, we don't know about your ancestors. They may be the ones working with the colonialists. Our ancestors fought the colonialists. I
Yes.
remember my dad telling me a story where the people in his village, they came out to fight the colonialists. And what they did not realize is that the reason why the colonialists like to live above the hills, because criminals, they came with full criminal intent.
Yes.
So they like to stay above the hill so they can see everything that is coming. That's why everywhere you see them, is somewhere in a hilly place.
Yes.
I remember growing up, there's a place called Mission Hill
Mm-hmm.
in the area where I grew up. And that place is in a hilly place. So that's where they build their, religious entity that they use to capture the rest of our people.
Yeah.
So my father was telling me that his father told him. My father died at the age of 95, so you can imagine how long ago this was. So he said that when they came over, because they would tell you, oh, your ancestors didn't fight, they didn't do anything, they just sold you over. Not from my side.
Lie.
My
Mm-hmm.
father was like, his dad told him that they said, this is too much. We need to get these people out of our land.
Yes.
And they gathered together under this big tree, and doing all this macho, doing these macho things to get ready to move forward. What they did not realize is that the criminal colonialists, the colonial bandits, that they had the Obunigwe, their own. I don't even know what to call it in English. The one you will release this thing that they would destroy, whatever. So they were under the tree, getting ready and trying to march on.
Maybe
And these
like a bomb, something like a bomb.
Yes, these colonial bandits from their hill
Yes.
sent the bomb, and it cut down this tree that has been there for over 300 years. So, so you can imagine, and of course, fear. But he said they've regrouped. So our ancestors did not sell anything. They tried to. They just kind. That's how they fell into this trap. They
And they
were just
overpowered them. They came with superior weapons.
right.
Our people were not developing weapons. The weapon they developed were
There's
just
no
for
need
hunting.
for it. There's
Yeah,
no
for
need.
hunting. Yeah, there was
Right.
no need. But these people went and developed superior weapons and then came and took our people
Of
out. So
mass destruction, weapon of mass
yeah,
destruction,
mass
not regular
destruction.
weapon.
Exactly, mass destruction. Yes.
So our ancestors were, kind people, and we need to begin to acknowledge them. So to that end, the spotlights on the wisdom of our ancestors. Go ahead, my sister.
Thank you very much. Sydney saying it has gone off. I don't know if we're still coming out, and I believe we are. So we want to look at ancestorship in Igbo tradition, because when we come here, we keep telling you about ancestors, ancestors. So people are asking, who are the ancestors? What does that even mean? So we decided to we want to talk about it. And our reference material for today is a befitting living or burial perspective of life by Dr. Nwobodo. Okay, so it's a book you can also go and get. So but we'll break it down for you. So being accepted to be a part of community of ancestors, that's ancestorship. You have to be there are conditions. We'll tell you the criteria for being an ancestor. It's just like what you have in Christianity, saints, because we told you that these things, they learn from us. They
Hmm.
stole our resources, stole our spirituality, stole everything. We told you that the white man cannot write Bible. It's not possible. The people that write, if it's not that people have not read Bible. If you read Bible, not the way they twist it, like some of these pastors use the content to twist and then misinform you and misinterpret it and do everything miss inside it. If you sit down and read it, because it was written by about 37, about 20 authors at different places, so you can compare. They are just different books. You can get this person's book, read it, compare these ones. So Bible is just a compilation of books, different authors. So if you get it and read, you'll be able to make sense. Now, if you read it and compare it to your culture, as I'm an Igbo woman, I was a child when I recognized my culture in the Bible. That was actually what made me to start studying Bible, not pastor. Another thing that made me to start studying Bible was the lie against women, how they were maltreating women. I felt, which kind God hates women like this? So I decided to, I've always been somebody that asks a lot of questions. I decided to go and read it by myself as a child. I was still in elementary school. I began to read it, like, let me find out whether is this God that said this thing these people are preaching, so that I will know what to decide in this my life. And then by the time I started going, I started seeing all the lies that died. So they'll take one section, they'll put things out of context and use it to manipulate you. But if you read it in context, understand the frame of who wrote it and the people that wrote it and the spirit they had, most of the writings represent our culture that we're already practicing. So if you know that's what we tell you, that the white man cannot read, because we have seen them and that is not part of their culture. That is not what their ancestors did or are doing. No. So it's more of what we did, getting corrupted. So sainthood is like as ancestorship. You understand? When the Christians say, oh, sent this, sent that, sent that. And all those saints, Roman Catholic people, all those saints that are calling, Matthew, Peter, all of them were black men. They were not white. Just know that. So when we're telling you ancestors, we know where we're going. Abraham was black. So these ancestors continue to dwell among, there's those, if you are accepted into committee of ancestors, you continue to live among the ancestors while simultaneously reconnecting among the living. There's a reason why they are able to do that. We'll tell you why they are able to do that. Ancestors intercede for their living family members and protect them spiritually. There's a day I told you a story about my mother-in-law's father, that the day she died, she gave them the day, gave them the time, prepared himself, laid down. Now, in terms of this protection, one of his sons was sick and died, actually. He died because they have left him on the table. They did surgery for him. He didn't wake up. For him, while they were there, they were preparing to take him to mortuary. He saw that his father, this man I told you about, in that place he saw him, they were calling him, is he general or whatever? And they told him that he said they should not allow him to come inside, that he should go back. That who is he leaving his younger ones for? As they were telling him, he was still arguing. This is first-hand account. This is not dream. The person is still alive. He was still struggling to enter. They sent Cain. They started flogging him. And then he looked and saw his father. And that was the person they were referring to, that gave authority that he should be flogged back to earth. And then he sneezed and woke up. So if we are saying what we're saying, we are not saying it because we tell you that some people have misinterpreted things, and we'll try to make it straight for you here. Our ancestors that we are talking about are not the ones that sold us to the colonial monsters, because every individual that passes away does not become an ancestor.
Nope.
That you just died does not make you an ancestor in Igbo land or in Igbo culture. There is a criteria. You must meet the criteria before you be accepted into that sainthood, if you may, ancestorship. Requirements for being an ancestor or being accepted into the ancestorship. You must have led a good life, an ethical life, like you were a role model on earth while we were on earth. And when I refer to this, my father-in-law, my mother-in-law's father, we can tell you the type of life he lived. If I use him as an example, I met him. I'll give you an example. He died at old age. That man, if he wants to, like a child did something and he wants to say, what did you do? If he wants to scold you, the people that live with him said that the greatest scold he will give you is you eat chicken. That he's very angry with you. He said, this child, you want to eat chicken? That's the type of life he lived. These ancestors, they would have served as examples to be emulated by their family and community. That's the type of life they would have lived. And usually they attain a ripe old age before dying. They don't die prematurely. And when they die, they receive proper and befitting burial. Otherwise, they become wandering spirits. Ozu akwa ha akwa, or what we call akalogeri in Igbo language, causing bad omens within the family until a proper burial is conducted and he or she is committed to the committee of ancestors. I'll give you another example. I had an aunt that I lost about 2 years or something. The son is one of these politicians. He wants to use the mother to make money. So there are some things he was supposed to do, because about burial rights, it must not be like you spend a lot of money. No, it's just that there are things required that you must do. If they say you have to go to where your mother came from and go and inform them, like we told you that even when your mom dies, you don't just stroll in and tell them my mom died. No, you will go through the process. These are part of the things. So it's not about money. When we talk about befitting burial, it's not how many cows you killed and the cars that you did. That's not what we mean at all. It's completely different from that. It's the process. You will follow the process and do things the way you're supposed to do them. So this my aunt died, and the son was doing, because he wants to do, he's a politician and everything. There was something he didn't do. So the umunna of the mother's place, abandoned him and left him and went away. He didn't do that thing. Do you know that the mother, because the mother was a quiet spirit, other spirits that went before the mother started going to family members, clan members, kindred, saying that this particular person has not been accepted in our midst because everything has not been done. The trouble, this is recent, I'm not saying 1905. This happened about 2 years. He started disturbing everybody. They had to now go and tell the son, you better go and do what you're supposed to do. Of course, he had to go and do it, do the right thing, humbled himself and apologized, and then did what he was supposed to have done before the mother had a rest. So we know what we're saying. That's why in Igbo culture, sometimes you hear somebody say, why are you walking up and down like a dead person that they didn't bury properly? That's where it's coming from. Because if you don't bury them properly, they will not have that rest. So our people, our ancestors, don't get rest by you going to social media and say, rest in peace. That's not how we get rest in peace. You will do things the way you're supposed to do. So the way you live will determine how you will die and how you will be buried. That's buried. That's why we don't joke the way we live. We aspire to live a good life. We aspire because we know that if you don't live a good life, you might not die a good death and you might not receive a good burial. That's why in Igbo culture, before now, Aru was not common because people were conscious of how they lived. Another requirement is that that person wouldn't have died of contagious diseases like smallpox, tuberculosis, leprosy, because we have treatment for those things in our culture. The herbal, the traditional herbs, we have herbs to treat these things and how the process to take care of them. That person wouldn't have been like a baby that is dying, repeating cycle of life and death. We call it obanje in our culture. Now with medicine, we're thinking it's sickle cell and all that. So that will not allow you to be an ancestor. In fact, those children that go that side, in Igbo culture, Igbo tradition, at a time, they will have to punish that child. They must do something that they put a mark on that child so that the child does not keep going. So they want to break the cycle and pin the child down so that when the child comes next time, you will not start going and stop suffering the parents, especially the mother. So for you to be an ancestor, you wouldn't have died a bad death. There's what we call bad death in Igbo tradition. There's good death and bad death. Dying young is a bad death. We don't want it. Those that die young, we don't punish them. We don't reward them either. They just vanish into existence. That's why I told you that the last time we were talking about the burial rites, where the family member, that's the kindred. When we mean family, we don't mean just father and mother. We mean kindred. We come in and see the body. For so somebody that died untimely, they will come and talk to you. Anna, where Ibiwa. So, because when you are an Igbo person, as you grow old, ibido bibiowa, like you're saying, if I come again, this is what I need to change. What this is change, this will change. So if you die young, you wouldn't have had the time to do it. So your family members, your kindred will come in to do that for you. If you suffered when you were alive, they'll say, please, when you come again, you're not going to suffer. If you died, like they will talk to you, to your spirits. It's a beautiful thing that we do in our tradition. Now, those who lived unethically and die, they become wandering spirits. That's the belief in Igbo tradition. They call them akalogel. They are not welcome among the living, and they are not welcome among ancestors. You see why we try to live a good life in Igbo culture? Because we know that if you don't live right, you will not be welcome in the world beyond. Just like nobody will welcome you among the living. And nobody will even want you to reincarnate into their family because you are a bad person. Who wants a terrible person to come back into their life and become their child? Nobody wants that. So you will not be wanted. So that's why. So certain diseases like leprosy, swollen scrotum, ida ibi, swollen stomach, itafo, madness, ibara, suicide, ikodo, are seen as bad omens and coming from the gods. Like maybe somebody has done something. Now, with the level of medical science that we have, we know that sometimes it might not be that, but we are telling you about what our people believed. And it's not different from what you have in the Bible. Like if you go to Numbers 12, 9 to 10, where Miriam gossiped about her brother Moses, the Bible says that God cursed her and she had leprosy. And she had it for 7 days and she was taken outside, quarantine. And then after she was cleansed, there's a process and then she was healed and brought back. So that's what sometimes we will tell you that all the people that are Igbos, they have some Judeo-Christian background. And we know what we're saying because you look at the practices and everything that they did and are still doing. So for individuals who died from these diseases, even if they led ethical lives, their deaths are seen as unfortunate. Why? Because they are neither ancestors nor wandering spirits. They simply disappear. These are some of the people that maybe they will have to do Ibiowa for. They will help and tell them that if you come next time, please, this type of thing should not befall you. Maybe you were a good person. They say you didn't deserve this. You shouldn't have gone through this. We don't know why it happened. Please, when you're coming again, you will go well in your next life, and they will do that Ibiowa for you. So as much as possible, people do their best in Igbo tradition not to contract dangerous diseases by living healthy lifestyle. What they eat, what they do, where they go. That's why you don't see things like bestiality, like all those things, and because our people believe that those things might defile you and bring certain diseases to you, in which we disqualify you, from living a good life and even having a good death. So we have strong traditional healers that try their best to heal people. Most diseases in ancient traditional Igbo tradition or get treatments and they cleanse them. If they have contagious infectious diseases and all that, there's a process where these things are taken care of. So that's it for ancestorship. We told you that we are not bringing everything. It's just for you to go and research more. And if you have questions, please always drop it in the comment. We'll go back and we'll answer and we'll respond to you. God bless our ancestors and God bless those that are living a good life in Igbo land and all over the world because we want the world to be a better place. Thank you.
Thank you, brothers and sisters. We'll see you guys next week. Please continue to help us to share. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye.